Well, in this chapter, I'm going to be talking about the Bunjin or the Literati style. And one of the things that most people don't realize, because all they do is study bonsai, but the Literati movement was also in literature, painting, poetry. Well, Literati means man of letters or educated man, right? Well, this is in China. In China, in the old days, they were born into classes. So if you were already in a high end, you lived a comfortable life in the city. But just like we had our hippies and we had a beatnik, they had some of these literati that decided to go up to the mountains and become a hermit and contemplate the meaning of life. So anyway, one of the things that the literati did up there was to draw. And they drew a tree that might look somewhat like this. Well, visualize this. They're in a harsh environment, so there was a constant snowdrift or something that's this deep. So there's no branches down here, and it struggled for sunlight, so it had crooked lines, right? And then as it got to the top, it was harsh winters, so it was very sparse. But now, that's not exactly what the Bunjin is. Bunjin is the Japanese interpretation of the Chinese drawing. And so now you're going to throw in a lot of the Japanese philosophy and cultural differences, and that's what the Bunjin style is. So it's the Japanese interpretation of what the Chinese literati saw. So in Japan, when they do literati style, they do something like this. Okay? In fact, I was watching one program and he goes, "Oh, still too happy." So he cut off this and this and this, so there was very little. And well, in some of the belief systems, they say that unless you suffer, you don't know the pleasures. But anyway, so the Japanese approach to the literati or the Bunjin is very stark. Now, most people try to make Bunjin out of stuff that can't be made into anything. But truly, to do a good Bunjin is you have to have this nice line in because you have very little to make a proper statement. Okay, so this is my interpretation of Japanese thinking in terms of the literati style. In California, well, it could be other places too, but in California, Bunjin style is not one of the popular subjects. And I think it has to do with the fact that we're hot and dry. Of course, we have our snowpack in the Sierras that give us water, but if it wasn't for that water, we're in a desert. So it's hot and dry in the summer. And what happens when you have a situation like that, you need foliage, greenery to feel comfortable. So the stark one is not as pleasurable as this. Who wants to look at the bonsai collection in the middle of the summer when it's so hot and dry and look at this? I think most people would rather see. So this is basically the same line, right? The trunk is identical. In fact, I just took the other one and added branches. So it has the basic same line, but more foliage. So I'm going to call this the California Bunjin or Literati. And I've been a landscaper, right? And People in Arizona are very wise. They don't use lawn because it's too hot and too dry, but it's kind of stark. California, we like to see the lush green. In reality, if it wasn't for our irrigation system, we should not grow lawn or anything lush. So I think the same principle applies to making bonsai. Bonsai should create happy feelings, not sad feelings, not stark feelings. So I started adding branches to the same line that they would do in Japan, but more foliage. So I think, well, I call it California Bunjin because I don't know what the rest of the United States do or rest of the world is doing. And so those of you that are in hot, humid areas, I think the Japanese style should be okay. But those of you that are in hot, dry area, I think you want to see more greenery. So anyway, this is my interpretation of the Literati style. And hopefully you're getting something out of these very short chapters trying to explain the styles of bonsai. So Literati or Bunjin style. And this one has been the California. And most likely this will be what they do in Japan. So this is Hiro saying goodbye. I'll show you some more in the future. Take care, everybody.